Alright, here we are. I have made some 5.5-inch tubes that bolt onto the frame in the same spot as the stock bumper, but I drilled the holes out to 1/2 inch and they were slotted for some adjustment, but while I was drilling them out I basically made it a 0 tolerance, so that doesn't really have much wiggle room. There's a washer on each side of the inside of the tube, between the tube and the frame, so that way when I actually bolt it together, there's going to be a little bit of clearance to snug tight, and also that helps for assembly so it's not too tight to get around that frame. And I was going to go big and elaborate with this front bumper, but I got to looking and thinking, and the lift cylinder goes from this point to this point, okay? And that's about 2.5 inches wide. So I don't want to get in the way when it's at its collapsed position. So I'm going to try to keep this as tight as I can. Okay, here we are. After much thought and deliberation, I've come to something like this. It is going to be welded in place, which may or may not be a smart idea. I don't know. It is serviceable at the point where I could just unbolt here, unbolt that front bumper, and of course have the loader frame off, and the whole top assembly will come undone, bumper and all. So I think that's just going to be the most rigid, instead of having something that bolts on or pins in place, and it'll be just awesome and strong. I decided on this 2.5-inch angle just because it was kind of one material that I have enough of, and then also if any reason the cylinder gets into any interference here, I can simply just trim that rib out, and there's all kinds of girth underneath as far as that lateral support. So I think it'll work just fine. One thing, you can see that side shield or side guard tin is very tight. So I'm probably going to just trim that muffler, that tailpipe, a little shorter, so that way I can actually get the side tins off if I ever need to do service work on the engine. So I think that'll work out just fine. And then the other side, for oil changes, swapping that filter, I won't have that tailpipe to have to get by, so it'll be a lot easier to get the other side off. Up front, I've got this mark here. That's actually going to come up to this corner. I just got it clamped in place just for video's sake. So this inside is going to be pretty close to that. So I've already seam welded that inside corner, and then I've got a pretty hefty bevel on the back side of that angle iron. So with the TIG welder, I think I should be able to get 100% penetration from this side and not have to worry about welding the back side of it. And then as far as my bolt holes go, the front bolt hole will be covered, so I'm going to have to transfer a hole through here. That's not the end of the world. It'll be all right. One last thing I kind of just told myself is I better transfer this in a mirror image to my other piece of 2.5-inch angle before I weld it in place, because that'll give me my best results. And probably what I'll do is just leave it like a 1/2 inch long, and that way I can trim that top edge or the bottom edge as needed to fit the other side. It's gonna be good. I ain't going nowhere. That's gonna be awesome. Pretty sure. All right, I'm gonna have to weld that once I take this all apart, but I've got the top done, and I've got the whole side done over here as well. And I had this upright, or the loader frame here, pulled out of the way for welding, and you can see how close I am as far as any warpage or anything goes. And that's easily fixable just by moving that loader forward, you know, 1/4 inch. So I'd say tacking it up in place worked very well. It's probably not the most accurate measurement, but measuring from the center of that pin right there to the closest point on the wheel weights, I'm dead on at 31 15/16. And then measuring from the inside corner, or the top corner of this upright here, to the edge of my bumper bracket, I'm also spot on, within a 1/16 of an inch on that side. So now it's time to whittle away at that side and get it tacked into place as well. All right, here we go. The uprights are welded to the front bumper on both sides. The grill still fits nice. I've been thinking whether I want to build a grill or a brush guard of any type, and I'm undecided right now. I could do a hoop with a couple bars, or I could do a hoop with a couple bars, or I could do like some plate steel and try my hand at maybe cutting out a horse head logo. I don't know, maybe with a plasma cutter, but this is looking really well, and I have that exhaust trimmed down so the side panel can come out with ease. The left side clears just fine also, and that's the side where the oil filter is, so that's pretty important. And then, like I mentioned, I'm going to have to drill some holes or clearance that a little bit so I can get to that bolt. Those holes are just big enough that I can get a 3/8 drive 3/4 inch socket through them, and maybe with a universal I could probably still make that work. So we'll see. If I take material out of that edge, then I kind of lose the effectivity of it being so tall and thick. So I don't know what I'll do yet. It depends if I can get it on and off, I suppose. Thanks for watching. I think I'm going to wrap this video up and see what I can do to move on to my next stage.